Hey guys, this is Mark. Short while ago I did a video about sequence breaking in the Taiga in order to skip the first bear fight. I thought I'd show you guys how I go about trying to find these sequence breaks that I've been posting. So currently I'm sitting up above the captain's headquarters in the Taiga. There's his little industrial warehouse right there. And if you've been through here, you'll know you come in on a zip line and then walk up to this roadway. There's a lot of abandoned cars. So what I'm trying to do is find a way to skip the bunker that goes through the mountain right here. I hate this bunker because I'm a horrible arachnophobe and there's quite a few spiders in it. Ultimately, I'm trying to get to the city, which sits up above this rocky face here. So there's a few ways I could go about doing it. The first that I tried was coming down to the end of this road here, and the highway kind of dead ends. The bridge is broken. There's a huge gap. There's no way you can cross it. So a couple of times I've come across smaller sections like this, and one option is to try to jump in the water and land deep enough in the water that you don't instantly splat, but you land close enough to the land that when you get to the water cutscene, it pulls you back up on the land, and then you can continue on. Now, I tried that all across here, and there's an instant death layer just above the water. So if I jump off here, I'll get a red screen. I don't get the water animation, I just simply get a fall damage death. So that way was out. I tried from all different angles to try to find a way. Now another option might be to come around here and hop across this cliff face and try to work my way to this valley and then try to climb up the scree here and come at it from that way. And what I found was that after the first couple of jumps across the cliff face, you hit a slick spot and there's no way to stop. You'll fall to your death. You can't slide down there either. There's no ledge to catch you, and so you fall and die. So that way was out. I tried going back down to where the zip line comes in to see if there was a way to slide down the cliff face there without lethal damage, with no luck. So then I came over here, and this ended up being the right approach. When I come over this way, I can hop across some rocks. You have to be careful. If you slide down there, it's hard to get back out. So I'm going to try to just hop over right there instead, and that works. Now, what you're really trying to do, as I've explained in some other videos, is constantly jump moving forward and then to one side or the other. And hopefully you'll be able to continue to catch on ledges that let you stay up. Now, right over here, there's a tricky spot that I found. I'm not going to intentionally do it this time. I may fall accidentally. But if you go down into the edge right there, you'll fall into a pit. The rock textures have no bottom to them, and you can't get back out. You have to basically reload and restart. I'm sorry. It's right down there. It's a one-way pit. You'll find a lot of that when you leave the intended area in these games. The textures are just that. There's nothing up under them, and so you'll find yourself dropping through space either to your death or into a pit that you can't get out of. Now, I may have some trouble here. I've got to find a way to get across this gap, and I think what I'll do is walk across this rock wall and then try to jump. Now, if you've already gone through the bunker and come out on top, you can actually slide your way down and can carefully maneuver and get yourself back into this area if you wanted to try to do this yourself. When you're doing these things, there's an awful lot of die and reload, so you have to be ready to start back over at any point. So I'm fixing to, you see me walking through the rock right there. I'm fixing to do a save before I do accidentally fall. Let's find a stable place to post up at. And let's save so we don't have to repeat that first part again. Now you'll notice the rocks are not very well defined here. We weren't really supposed to be in this area, and so the textures were never fully mapped out. So we've made it across that. Now in just a minute we're going to try to go ahead and get on down to the bottom. We'll stay up high while we can. For a lot of this area, once you get to the bottom, there's an instant death layer just like there was on the other. And so trying to go down too early would result in an instant death, which is not really what we're shooting for. I was hoping we'd get some sunlight. I guess not, and I don't think I can get through there. We may have come down too far. Let's see if we can work our way back up onto here. You see, I can kind of go right up under that rock. I'm just jumping and pushing up and then one side or the other, hoping that I'll catch a ledge and be able to get back up there. If not, we'll have to reload and go from the save we made a moment ago. There we go. So I did this earlier and got around. I may spare you guys a lot of this boring detail, but basically we're just going to continue this process all the way around the point there that we went into. Hopefully this is not a one-way pit. You can tell we're kind of down at the bottom of the mountain below that village. So let's see if we can slide out right there. We can. Let's go ahead and heal up too. And I went right back in. So let's see, we've got to jump and clear that. And didn't really mean to fire off there, but no harm done. Okay, now I went in the water. I don't think I'll pull back up here. With those boulders, there's no real ledge for me to grab. So we're going back anyway. So I'm going to stop at this point and go ahead and move to a saved clip I'd made a little further back. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to keep going because there's some stuff I wanted to do anyway that I didn't do last time. Ultimately, our goal is to get to the dam before the colonel arrives on the train. We almost got that. I don't know, I guess you guys can hear my space bar getting spammed here as I try to work my way up that slope, and that's not going to happen. So let's just come on around this way. I will probably edit out a lot of this so you guys don't have to watch and listen. But I still want to get around there myself if I can. I've been around there once already, and it's pretty cool. There's a lot of one-way pits and a lot of things you wouldn't have expected. That area around the dam is surprisingly well fleshed out as far as structures. I was not anticipating that. See, we're inside the rock layer there. See if we further around than we were a moment ago. There we go. That's what we were hoping. Well, what I was hoping for. Did not really count on that though. Let's see if we'll be able to get out of here. Yes, we did. So we are up under some rocks here in this scree. Scree is just loose rock debris, kind of like talus. we don't want is to, well, to die. It doesn't do us any good as far as achieving our goal if we're going to die in the process. I think we want to have to go down here. We don't want to free fall. We want to try to slide into the rock so that we don't just fall uncontrollably. We want to give ourselves a chance to catch every ledge that we can to break down our fall. We should be getting close to the point where we can come on around and actually see this red soil here is a good sign that we're getting close to where we want to be. We just walk right through that rock. They usually call this method of movement skyrimming. If you ever played Skyrim, you know that you can climb almost any mountain there by going back and forth and jumping and grabbing hold of ledges in the process. It's a good way to get up to High Hrothgar very early, even if you don't have the Clear Sky shout. So let's see, I've got to get down now because we're close enough that I think that's fair. See if we can do it without dying. Good. And we'll come right around here and then try to save in case something happens. There's the zip line that we'll fly over on here in a little while if we were to go through the game traditionally. Did not mean to hit that. Gotta go right through these rocks. Natural bridge. Well, we don't want to go out that way. So let's come on and see if we can make some progress over here. Okay, now that rock is solid. It's not going to let us come through. So let's see how we can get out of this little quagmire. I remember thinking that rock there was pretty cool. It's just kind of hanging there by itself. Now, unfortunately, it's no longer daylight, so you guys can't really appreciate where we are. First time I did this, it was daylight, but there's the zip line we'll ride over at the end of this level, and going over to the dam right there. Unfortunately, there's no place to rest here to pass the time, so I was just going to sit in one place until it got daylight and got a little impatient and decided to go ahead. When I did this earlier, I got back up to the village and I may show you guys, it was totally empty. Aloysia hadn't come to meet me yet because I never actually exited the bunker door, and the script is set to trigger as you go through the bunker. So if you don't go through the bunker, the game doesn't know to put him there to greet you. Now, one trigger that still works, and of course is the most important one, and that's the final fight with the bear. If you remember in a traditional playthrough of this level, that the bear is triggered to come out when you start across a bridge. And that footbridge is still there, and when you come across it, it will trigger to start the fight. So you have not lost your game in the process of doing this. You're still totally able to kind of resurrect yourself, or resurrect your game progress, rather. Okay, we got to get up here. And all of that was hollow, so we need to come over this way without going down there. Now, let's try to walk up right here. We should be able to. And now let's take a look at where we've come. So that's a power line, but there's the final platform. There's the village up there. Right over here is the dam. And we have made it here without triggering any of the final scripts from the game. So as far as it's concerned, we're still back there deciding whether or not to enter the bunker. And now let's go on up to the top. Let's see if we can come up this way. Oh, there's a slide. There we go. Those ledge grabs are definitely a good friend of yours to have through here. Now with it being dark, it's a little harder to tell, but where's going to be our best approach? We might be able to get up there, but I think we want to try to see if we can come up right here. Be a good place to grab right there. Now we're close, but we can't quite get through that gap, so we need a different angle. Let's see if we can make it over there. There's several steps up there that look like they would be useful. Unfortunately, there's no ground to them. They're totally empty. So you could do that, but what you would find is that you just pass through the steps, and you might be lucky with some good jumps to get up there, or you may find that it's just a waste of time. I never went anywhere with it, but I can't say that I gave it a really strong try either. So we're kind of up under the dam now. Let's head over this way and see what we can find. So the principles that we're going with here, the repeated jumping, not being afraid to go kind of out of bounds, is really the key. Some of you may be noticing that this is taking longer than it would take to actually just sprint through the bunker, and that's true, but there's something kind of neat to be said about going where you weren't intended to go in order to subvert the game and its developers in some way. Almost like finding Easter eggs or something. Up under all of this is you can't see a bleeding thing about where you're supposed to be going when you're inside some of these textures. It's rather challenging. So I've been moving around. Let's see where we actually are. Not much to see here. I wonder if it's going to be possible for us to get up there. I bet it is. So we are well below the dam now, and actually well past the depot where the Colonel picks us up at. So we may need to reload and go back to a save from a little bit earlier where we might have a chance to actually get up to the top. I don't think the dam's going to offer us much in the way of that. Oh, no, there's a little boat there. I don't recall ever seeing that before. I don't know that we'll be able to get up on it, but we can try. Yeah, we can get up there. So, again, you'll notice the textures here are very low res, specifically because we were never intended to be here. From a distance they would look just fine, but since we're not at a distance, they don't. Okay. I don't know that there's going to be much there to help us. You can walk across these beams, but it doesn't look like it's going to put us in a position to get up to the top, so it may be pointless to waste our time. So I'm going to pause the video here and go ahead and recover and work my way back up to the top and start back recording there. Okay guys, this is Mark again. I've made it back up to the top of the dam. This time I came up behind these transformers, came up the slope beside these trains. First time I did this, I came up somewhat over by the spillway, and I couldn't seem to find the same spot this time, but I was able to find some success right through here. Now, from up here on top of the dam, you've got a fair amount of territory you can kind of free run in. First of all, the radioactive lake that you're trying to save the pioneers and pirates from later in the game, or at least Aloysia is, sitting right over here. It is fatal. There is really water there. A lot of texture glitches here on top of the dam because we were never intended to actually be here. So the Aurora is going to rip through here shortly and take us out of here. However, there's a lot of debris on the track right now, which I guess the Aurora is just going to blow through. You can continue on across the dam. It goes into a tunnel, which is instant death if you walk into it, or you can go on the slope beside the tunnel, and there's some range up there. It's just empty countryside with a few abandoned buildings. The walls are not permanent, so you can clip right through them. You can see one of the structures right through there. Those bricks are solid. These wooden walls are not. Now, right now I'm kind of on the far side of the dam from where we were initially approaching it. And unfortunately, you can't actually climb up on this side of the dam, which is why I had to turn around and go back toward those transformers to get up. And one of the reasons for that is there's an invisible floor right here. So even if you were able to somehow climb the slope, you wouldn't be able to come on up. So let me move back over this way. There's a lot of just empty train cars. Some of them are solid, some of them are not. These haystacks are. Now, something interesting, these stairs here are almost treated like a slope. You can start up them and then you'll slide back down. You just have to continually jump, and you'll eventually get into this little trailer right up here, control car if you will. There's nowhere you can go from there, but you can walk around there for a minute. There's not much to see, but it's still kind of neat. Some more interesting things though are over here. First of all, as we come closer to the tunnel here, we see some train cars kind of blocking the tracks. They're not very solid and would not pose much difficulty to the Aurora as she came through. Let's just come on the other side. Again, you can see the village there. There's the crack, the gully we would fall into to trigger the final bear fight. We haven't triggered that scene yet because we skipped it. Here's the zip line that you'll ride down to grab back hold of the Aurora when the Colonel comes to rescue you. Now, there's two trains here. This one might look familiar to you. It's solid, and you really can't actually get up on it. But if you come here beside it, one of the cars has a light on, as well as some guns that you can use if you are missing something. And you'll notice a familiar pair of feet right there. So apparently the Colonel is waiting for us in an empty car by himself with no one else. There's nothing you can do to trigger a dialogue with them, and you can't, that I found, actually get onto the car. Now if I go any further into this tunnel, I will drop through the floor and it will be a death for me, which is no big deal, but I'd rather not do it. Instead, I want to come up this way and show you guys what's up here, because this is kind of interesting too. And there's a power pole up above all of this, and as I come up here and look around, again you can see the town out there. The dam is sitting right over here, and we're climbing the slope, kind of triangulating between those two. So there's no way to climb up that, but what I found really interesting is what's behind it. There's a ghost town, and there are a lot of fake walls, false floors. It's very easy to suddenly die when you're up here. Additionally, there are buildings you can't get out of. Brick structures tend to be solid. Wooden structures you tend to be able to walk through, although not this one. You can climb up and enter the windows on this brick structure, but if you do, you cannot get back out. You drop into kind of a pit. You can see the windows above you, but you can't actually get up to them. We've got some empty houses here. There's no loot inside of them. It's just kind of a neat place to walk around. And then we don't want to go off that edge there. At least not right now. So we're looking way up above now. I wish it weren't raining so I could show you guys better, but it's been raining the whole time I've been up here, and I can't seem to wait it out. Now, if you wanted to continue the game, you could come right over here, and I'm going to do a quick save, because what I'm about to do can really mess you up if you're not careful. So to get to the main town where I've got to end up, I'm somewhere out in this area, and it is possible to kind of scotch your way across the edge there and come around, but it's fairly difficult. What tends to work better is to take a little damage and then enter this basement area. Now you want to be really careful here, because actually it's not much of a basement. There's a floor right above us, and if you try to jump up from this part of the building, you'll get trapped and you can't get out. On the other hand, we should be able to come right up here and get up. Where we're going to be is at the end of the bunker with the snakes. You just saw the ladder sign up here. That's the ladder that you'll climb up right before you get to the door and meet Aloysia. And so here we are. There's the steps that'll carry us out of the bunker. And my flashlight is almost dead, so let's charge it up real fast. If you remember earlier, I said don't jump in the basement. If you jump too early, you'll pop in on the other side of this equipment. There's nothing you can do there, and there's no way out. You can't jump over these machines. You can get on top of them, specifically get on top of this pipe right here, but there's a wall that won't let you, an invisible wall that won't let you drop down. You can't jump over from behind this pipe, and if you manage to get yourself into this area, the only way out is to go out the far end. You can't come out this end. So you don't want to pop into existence too soon. You want to wait. You'll come up, the door's already open for us, and this is where we would normally have come out of the bunker. Now, the place where we could have popped up that would have had us locked out is on the other side of this door, but it's locked from both sides. There's no way you can get in or out of it. So now I'm basically at where the game wants me to be. It wants me to come into the village here, although you'll notice I am totally alone. There's no one with me. Aloysia never spawned because I didn't actually go through the entire bunker. However, if I come over here to the footbridge, as soon as I start across it, it will crash, and then Aloysia will magically appear, and the giant bear will come, and we'll have our in-game fight, and then ride the zipline back. Now, if for some reason you wanted to go all the way back to the beginning of this area, to where we first entered the bunker, it is possible, although you'll want to do a lot of saving because it's very dangerous, to actually work your way down the slope right here, and you'll be back where we first started this video. I found doing it that I died an awful lot trying to do it, but it was possible. You just have to get the right angle and take the right approach. I think I actually jumped into this building and went out the back side of it. Now once we're back up here, I haven't found any way to really get back around to where that ghost town was, but there may be some other ways to do it. The only way I found was back down to the original slope to start this video. So do as you will. But regardless, you can have some fun on top of the dam. Visit with the Colonel when he's not talking to you. Maybe he's mad about the way you treated Anna again. But you can free run all the way through there and just kind of have some kicks. Of course, we've already been all down the slope through there. That's how we came around to begin with. So hopefully you guys got a kick out of this. I know I had a lot of fun exploring this area and learning some stuff. And just kind of a quick summary, as usual. The biggest part of all of this is making sure that you know where you're trying to get to and that it somehow can connect to the area you're at. An approach like this wouldn't work in the Yamantau bunker where the cannibals are, because it's a straight run through and you really can't skip from one room to another until you get to the very end where you can jump up to the developer's room. There's still some areas in the Volga I think I might be able to skip around on, and there's a very well-made video in the Caspian where you can basically get the van at the beginning of the board and jump straight to the end. And I'll leave it to you guys to look it up. I don't want to pretend to take any credit for that because it was a well-made video. But I think that getting on top of the dam may be a new thing. I haven't seen anybody else post a video of that. Hopefully you can play around and accomplish it and have a little fun with it. I'm not going to worry about finding the bear here, so I will probably be dead in just a moment. So we're looking for places where we can get over a ridge or a mountain or across a valley and short circuit a section of the board. Doing this particular one, frankly, took a good deal longer than it would have done just to have gone through the bunker, but as I've said, I hate spiders, and so this was a fun way for me to avoid having to see any. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and have fun gaming.